Now we are going to discuss about airport.
The learning objectives of this program, this course is one is to explain the evolution and concept of airport, then to identify the various types of airports, to elaborate the functional roles of an airport, to elucidate the benefits of airports for tourists, to describe the products and customers of an airport. These are the learning objectives as far as this module is concerned.
Airport is the next most fundamental element in the air transport system. Airport is, in fact, that is the most visible part in the air transportation system. There are two things that are most very visible in air transportation system. One is the airline organizations. When we think about airlines, usually what we see is the aircraft that are in operations. But when we think about air transportation, the first image that comes to our mind is, in fact, airport. So airport is the most visible part as far as air transport system is concerned. When we think about airport itself, the first thing that comes to our mind is, in fact, the building, the terminal. That building is actually the terminal. So that is part of an airport. To the concept of airport later. Before that, let us peep into the history of airport, how that has evolved. In fact, the concept of airport was not there in the beginning. Those days, the flights were very small and they were landed on some strips, some simple strips. There was no building, nothing. The flights will be landing somewhere. People will approach. They will enter into they will board into the flight, and then the flight will move to the runway. From there, it will take off. Runway is very significant, very important part in an airport. Runway is where it lands and it takes off. That is the most important, significant, vital part as far as an airport is concerned. So when we have a very big structure as far as an airport was concerned, it was something like an aerodrome, something like a very simple structure. So once upon a time, airports were just grass strips. In those strips, the planes could land and take off. And they were having a little bit more space, passengers, mail as well as cargo. So after landing and takeoff, the flight will be moving away from that grass strip, and it will be parked somewhere. Parking will be done after some in a different space, and people will come over there. They will load all the cargo, mail, and others, and passengers also will be boarded. And after landing, again the flight will come to that area, and it will be parked. Then loading, boarding, then all sort of activities that will be taking place at a different area. So there was no that kind of elaborate structure that was not there. Later, by 1930s, airports became a simple building that provided a waiting area along with facilities for landing and takeoff. So by 1930s, the concept of airport began expanding. Building started. Before that, there was no building. So building started, construction started for like a building that was started by 1930s. Facilities. So why 1940s? Because that by this time the Second World War ended, and after that commercial air transportation increased like anything. There were bodies like International Civil Aviation Organization, International Airport Association. So all sort of things happened, and international air transportation became an important mode of transportation world over. More countries started to have air transport facilities and services. By the time the expansion happened, improvements happened, everything has changed. So airports had to have kind of better structures by this time. When jet engine flights emerged, it happened in 1950s actually. In fact, jet engines were in use in Second World War as well by the military aircraft. But in commercial transportation, it was utilized on a wider scale by 1950s. So when jet engine flights were introduced in air transportation, further developments took place in the airport sector. So airports began to expand. The evolution was phenomenal, as currently an airport is a small city itself. In the sense, we can almost whatever the facilities and services that are available in a small city that are there in an airport itself. For instance, Dubai is developing a new airport. That airport is like, even hotels are in the conference and convention facilities are there inside. Then tour operators, travel agencies, and then connecting transportation services. Everything is there inside the complex. And inside the terminal itself, there are plenty of services and facilities. Sometimes we'll be amazed by seeing this. Singapore has a Changi airport. It's a very big airport which is attractive for people, and green concept is very well adapted into it, so that we feel a kind of relaxation, refreshment, everything when we visit those kind of airports. Hong Kong airport is also a wonderful one. So new concept of airport has become something like a smart city. So the concept had a phenomenal shift from a small grassroots to a big a city-like structure. Now it is like a self-contained metropolis of shops, hotels, banks, facilities. Everything will be there for a small city. Everything will be there inside the airport also. So let us see what is the concept of airport. Simply we can say it's a created space where flights can land and take off. And we need facilities for loading and unloading of passenger and cargo. So that is conceptually, that is the basic fundamental thing required for an airport. It's a created space. It's a built space. It's a space created exclusively for this purpose. And in this space, whatever is constructed, the flights can land, flight can take off from there, and there are facilities for boarding, unboarding, offloading, loading of cargo, etc. All sort of things are possible. Not only those, there are plenty of other activities that will be done when a flight is on ramp. On runway or a helipad for helicopters, it is one runway is inevitable for an airport. At least a helipad is inevitable if you want to consider something as an airport. Airport exists with a range of other facilities and services as well. So airport doesn't mean that it is only having a runway, or it's only having some facility for parking of the aircraft so that loading and unloading is possible. But there are many other facilities and services required for an airport. It provides almost all the infrastructure needed to enable passengers and freight to transfer from the surface to air mode of transport, and to allow aircraft to take off and land. So that is another dimension. So airport is a space from where we can change our mode of transportation. Usually, when we reach an airport, we are reaching the airport through land mode of transport. And from the airport, then we are converting into air mode of transport. So the modes of transport will be changed. So when we are coming by a flight to an airport, so we are coming by air mode of transport, then we are changing to land mode of transport. So these two things happen, either changing the mode of transport from land to air or from air to land. So airport provide that space and facilities for that changing of the mode of transport. Some other important aspects of airport. Let us see some of the very important things. It brings together a wide range of facilities and services at the transport industry. Air transport industry is a huge one, where airlines are part, navigation services are there, aircraft manufacturers are there, engine manufacturers are there. So all those things are there inside the air transport industry. Of this is a part of this, and this provides the basic facility for all other two functions. So for example, without airport, airline cannot undertake any services. If an airline want to undertake the air transport services, they require the facilities and services of an airport. So that is the importance of airport. Without airport, the industry cannot function. And it offers a variety of commercial facilities ranging from shops, restaurants to conference facilities. So airports, if you go to big airport, you will be seeing plenty of shops, coffee shops, restaurant shops. These are refreshment centers. Different types of restaurants are there. Conference facilities are there. Duty-free shops are there. Gift shops are there. Book shops are there. Banking services are there. Exchange counters are there. So these kind of travel agency and tour operation counters are there. Hotels, their counters are also there. Their outlets are there. In fact, rental car company options are there. All sort of things are there inside the airport. And apart from this, it provides a strategic importance in the region where it is located by integrating within the overall transport system, by establishing links with the rest of the transport system. A transport system in a city may be having rail connectivity, train services may be there, bus services are there, so road networks are there. It may be having even water-based connectivities. So all will be connected to airport as well. So it is part of an integrated transport system of a particular city. It can bring together greater economic development. That is very important. Airport's economic significance for a region is very, very important. For exporting and importing activities, we need airport. For undertaking trade with other parts, we need airport. For the flourishing of the business, we need airport. For giving more employment opportunities, because airport and associated industries will provide lot of employment opportunities. These are also economically, socially important that are connected to airport. So, lot of economic and social significances we can identify with an airport. Now, how airports are classified? Different types of airports we can see. There are civil aviation airports. We know that civil aviation is divided into two categories. One is general aviation and other one is commercial aviation. That we discussed in the aviation, we call it as civil aviation. So it's a very large sector. Among civil aviation, by number, general aviation is the largest category. So general aviation airports are actually, general aviation usually consists of smaller flights. They may be conducting aerial operations. They may be conducting, different types of other activities. But commercial aviation is we have been discussing. So our airports, what we are discussing is all about commercial air transport airports. So commercial airports are actually, these are the international and domestic airports what we see. These are whether it is international or domestic, that depending upon the destinations that are being served by the airlines that are operating services within the airport. So depending upon, we call it as an international or a domestic airport. In India, we know that there are some airports that are international, that have international status. There are some other airports that are domestic airports. Domestic airports will be having flights that are conducting, airlines will be conducting only domestic services within the country, the services within the cities inside the country. Whereas international means these services will be to foreign countries, to other countries. Some airports we call as hub airports. We already discussed what is a hub airport. In the hub and spoke system, what the network airlines and major airlines operate, a center airport will be there. That center airport is usually a big airport. So that can be called as a hub airport. For example, in India, Mumbai is a hub airport. Delhi is a hub airport. Mumbai, for example, Air India undertakes international operations from Mumbai to many other international cities. All the services to other major international cities may be done from Mumbai. So Mumbai is considered as a hub airport. Delhi also is a hub for at times, particularly during this pandemic season. Delhi was a hub airport for the Air India. So for an Emirates airline, Dubai is a hub airport. So these are the large airports. In fact, we will be having services to so many cities. The commercial airports, which are considered as a hub for air services to many other cities by airlines, we can call as a hub airport. Then regional airports are there. These are actually smaller airports. These are not as big as hub airports. Airports with commercial services in a smaller area. So for example, smaller airports, smaller cities in the country, in India, we can call all those, like for example, then Bangalore is an international, it's not a hub in fact. There are many other, like Cochin is a regional airport, like Calicut is a regional airport. So these kind of airports are there. Then military airports. These are the airports built only for defense purposes, particularly for the Air Force activities and all. So these are built only for those. It's an exclusive airport. Other flights are not permitted unless and until a situation emerges. So the purpose is only for defense. Now, what are the functional roles of air transport? We know that air transport is a basic infrastructure that is required for air transport. Without airport, the airlines cannot undertake services. So, airport is required for airlines to undertake airport. So, as far as air transport industry is concerned, airport is a very basic infrastructure. It's a location from where airlines can undertake flight services, and interface, it's a kind of interface between land mode and air mode of transport that already we discussed. So where we can have a change of what we call it as mode of transport, either from land to air or from air to land. It's a point for national and international connectivity. It is very important, and a country should have international connectivity. Lot of international transactions, lot of international businesses, export and import activities, people coming from other countries, these are tourism activities. For all these purposes, we need to have international airports. So it's a point, it's a center for connectivity. It's a transport hub as well. It is integrated with the transport system of the city. As we discussed before, it has a lot of socio-economic significance. So it is a facilitator for economic development for the region. When a city is having an airport, naturally the opportunities will be better for trade and businesses. When a place is having a new airport, definitely the scope will be enhancing, will be enhanced. And it's a basic infrastructure for international trade as well. We know that important export is happening because of airport. Of course, sea-based, sea transport-based export and import is also there. And it's a facilitator for regional and local development. When an airport is coming, definitely the region will be having better development. It's an employment provider. It provides employment directly. It provides employment indirectly as well through the associated industries. And it's a location for cargo handling and its loading and unloading. That is also the airports will be having separate terminal for cargo handling. So the cargo processing will be done over there. The cargo carriers may be having its own parking near the cargo terminals, and loading and unloading will be done over there. So where the processing of cargo for loading and unloading, all that can be done in that particular area. So airport has cargo significance, cargo transportation significance as well. Another very important as far as a country is concerned, that airport is a place for entry and exit. Entry and exit means when we go out of the country, once we enter in the terminal, once we clear the immigration, that means we are out of the country. When we come from a foreign country, we enter in the country after the immigration. Until you reach the immigration counter, you are not in the country. National significance is there for an airport where all the immigration activities will be done. So when a tourist is coming, that immigration counter is very important because visa validation is done over there. Space for safety and security measures in air transportation, that is very security measures are undertaken. The baggage screening is done there, hand baggage screening is done there, personal body checking is done in the airport, and you will be under CCTV surveillance always, closed to circuit television. That surveillance is always there. What are the activities you do inside the airport? They will be closely monitoring us, watching us, what are the activities we do. So these kind of security measures are very strictly followed inside airport. So they can restrict so much of safety and security issues, particularly, especially after September 11 attacks that happened in the USA. After that, security measures have beefed up like anything. Lot of measures are there that are taken inside the airport. So airport is hub of everything, all the security activities. And it is a very important commercial space also. Lot of shopping is happening inside airport. Duty-free shops are there. Other shopping centers are there. Currency conversion centers are there. Banking services can be done there. Rent-a-car services can be arranged from there. Tour operation and travel agency facilities are there inside a airport. So it's a commercial space as well, airport. So the role of airports are actually multiple as far as an airport is concerned. Not just a space or a structure or an infrastructure for changing the mode of transport from land to air or from air to land. A lot of other significance is there. As far as a tourist is concerned, what is the significance of airport? So we are studying a tourism course, so we should understand. For a tourist, airport is a port of entry. That means that is an entry point. Here you get the entry permission. Without passing through that entry permission counter, that entry permission is done by the immigration counter. So in some airport it will be written as passport control center. Some airport it is written as immigration control center or immigration control center. When you come from outside, it is immigration. So that immigration counter, there only they permit you to enter into the country. Until you reach the immigration counter, you are not in the country, you are out of the country. So it's a port of entry to get the entry permission for a tourist to visit a country. And sometimes nowadays we know that there are facilities like visa on arrival. Visa on arrival is offered by India also. For example, many foreign countries, the citizens of those countries can come to our airport and get the visa from the airport itself and enter into the country. So that is what we call it as visa on arrival. Indians can also go like this. For example, suppose you want to visit Thailand. Just go to Thailand airport, take the visa from the airport itself and visit the country. So that facility we call it as visa on arrival. So airport provides a facility for visa on arrival as well. And airport is a center for refreshment options. Lot of restaurants are, not lot of actually, there are plenty of restaurants within. 8 different types of restaurants are there, coffee shops are there, other kind of refreshment center options are there within the airport. Even lounges are also there where you will be getting different types of food options and all. It's a place for booking tourist services like accommodation, rent a car, etc. In the arrival area, there will be space for hotel bookings, there will be space for car rental bookings, there will be space for tour holiday bookings, tour package bookings. It's an information counters are there. And then tourist information services are there. So getting the services can be done. It can be done. A tourist can have the services getting booked from the airport itself. That is another important aspect of airport for a tourist. Airport is like a concierge, like a tourism information center. Definitely an airport will be having all the kind of information provision services. Usually the local tourist office will be having its own center within an airport. So they provide all the tourist brochures and there will be staff, very professional staff will be there. They give the information. When a tourist is coming, if they want to know anything about something about the destination they visit, the attractions, etc., they can just be entertained by the airports. Because big cities, these kind of centers are very important. When a tourist is coming from outside, he will be a stranger in the place. So definitely he will be having a lot of confusions, doubts, information required to visit the place, or information required to go for accommodation, or information required for how to travel to different attractions. So there has to be very efficient staff for providing all these. And for a tourist, airport is an ideal location for shopping. That is very important for leisure tourism, not business tourism particularly, but basically for leisure tourism. Because leisure tourists will be visiting a destination for a short period, maybe for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days and all. So throughout the time they spend in the destination, they may be visiting places. So they may forget to buy something, or they may not be getting enough time to buy something. So usually when we visit somewhere, we would be happy to carry something back to our home, or to give to our friends, relatives and our kids, kith and kin. So we prefer to buy something. So the tourists may not be getting adequate time from the destination to have shopping. So there are spaces within the airport. From there they can have the shopping. So duty free shops are there, gift shops are there, textile shops are there, book centers and other kind of things are there. So shopping options are there within the airport. So that is another advantage as far as airport is concerned for a tourist. And through airport we can transport our baggage. If you want to send extra bag also we can have. And airport is a place where the tourist feels welcome, reception, meet and greet, tour briefing, everything can be done within an airport. if you're part of a particular tour package, definitely somebody will be waiting for you. You can just meet those people, they will brief you how to go ahead with the tour. And somebody will be there to welcome you. If you have relatives or friends or somebody waiting for you, they will welcome you. You feel a lot of happiness when you see them. So meet and greet possibilities are there in the airport. And see off for departing tourists, then the tour operator will be their staff will be coming over there. They will depart you. They will see off you. And inside the airport, banking services, currency conversion options are there. So when you go abroad, you need to convert your currency into dollar or any other currency, whatever is possible that you can collect from within the airport, because there will be exchange counters. From there, you can convert your currency. And you'll be having some banking services as well. Some of the international banks will be having their own outlets. Some of the local banks also will be having outlets. So they will also help you in having some simple banking transactions. And at times, nowadays, there is a fee. So the airport itself is an attraction for tourists. And this becomes part of the total tourist experience. As I said in the beginning, Changi Airport is a wonderful airport. If you visit Changi Airport and use parts of the Changi Airport, you will feel amazed by the kind of attractiveness that airport is offering, the appeal that is providing to the tourists, so that the overall experience will be enhanced, elevated by this experience you get from the airport. So airport is nowadays something like an attraction also. Airport is a place for rejoining your friends and for making new friends also. When you have free time, you can find somebody and get connected to them, make friendships. That is also possible. Who are the customers of an airport? Airport is also a business organization. It's also a commercial organization nowadays. It's not like a government agency. It may be run by a government agency, but they have to make money for their survival. They have to pay salary for their employees. So they need to have revenue. How do they get revenue? They need to get the revenue from the customers of them. So that means there are customers for the airport. Who are the customers? Airline is the primary customer for an airport. Airlines make use of airports, facilities and services. Another major category of customer is passengers. Passengers involves tourists, both leisure tourists and business tourists, then other types of travelers. All these type of travel agents also will be having some kind of connections with airports. Freight forwarders, cargo forwarders, they make use of the services of the airport for sending their cargo or freight to other places. Then there are ground handlers. Ground handlers in the sense, these are the agencies, they undertake ground handling activities on behalf of airline companies. Every airline then cannot have their own staff in all the airports across the world. For example, Air India is undertaking transport services to Dubai, to London, to Frankfurt, to many other major cities. In all the cities, Air India cannot have their own staff. So what they do is actually they engage with some other agencies to handle whatever the requirements are there inside the airport, wherever they undertake services. So there are some special exclusive agencies, they undertake these kind of activities, and those kind of agencies are called as ground handling agencies. The retail concessionaries are there. For example, as I said, bookshops, then other kind of shops inside the airport, we call it as concessionaries. So these retail concessionaries are also customers for the airport, and they may be paying the rent and maybe sharing the profit with the airport, like that. That depends upon the agreement. And to some extent, the employees working inside the airport are also part of the customers of the airport.
By this, let us end the course and let us have a quick review of what we learned. Airports have evolved greatly from a small field of landing and take off to a large facility with a wide variety of facilities and services being provided for the airlines and other customers to perform the air transport services. Airport has immense social and economic significance for tourist destination. It is very important. It's a very key component which ensures good accessibility, Tourists enjoys refreshments, shopping, immigration services, access to a number of tourism products, and in addition to the transportation services from an airport. Airport offers a composite product, which is a combination of tangible and intangible elements that are wholly or partially enjoyed by airlines, passengers, and other customers of airports.